What is up, motherfuckers? It is the road to 100k a month, episode 11. And this week, if I was to really describe this week, bro, I would say it was insightful. I think there's a lot of perspectives that I've seen and had, and lessons that I've learned, and things that I personally believe for myself are gonna be huge bottlenecks that I currently have that are gonna be untangled. And for you watching this, I think I surely can't believe I'm the only one going through a lot of these things. And I'll be going over every single one of them. And I believe that with my new fixes, things are probably going to be looking a lot better going to the next weeks. And this is more so mentally, and that I feel like will translate on my success on the charts. But as tradition, let's get the fuck into this video, bro. We are currently at 5 accounts. I'll put up the P&L. We traded Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday was markets closed. And bro, like, I know it's like an American holiday, Juneteenth. I don't know the behinds of what the holiday is, bro. But are we shutting down the markets because of that, bro? Like, what the fuck are we doing here, boys? Like, come on, bro. But it is what it is. And then that was the case. So our P&L for the week, that was all copy traded across 5 accounts. This week we also did blow again more evals on our Apex in hopes of, well, not in hopes of, with the goal in mind that I wanted to stack more accounts, but we just didn't. Trades didn't hit. It is what it is. And then that's what happened. So we're at 5 accounts. But going into next week, I think I truly will, and I think it will happen. If it doesn't, it is what it is. But I want to get to 10 accounts and slowly start scaling that. And I feel like get that momentum as quick as possible. And just as time permits. And then obviously our drawdown, I didn't mention that. And that's our drawdown across our 5 accounts. Now, one thing also, just a side note here, going to the next weeks, what I'm not going to do as well is I'm not going to be like, this was a good week, this is a bad week. By interpreting a week as a good week or a bad week, you just add a connotation that is just not needed, bro. If you have a long-term vision of what your goal is as a trader, what your vision is, how much you want to be making, what's the accolades that you want to accomplish in this trade, then you shouldn't be focused of like what's happening week by week, bro. Because if you're following the process and you're actually following your trades like I did this week, I can't be mad at myself, bro. And I shouldn't be. And I shouldn't classify that as a bad week or a good week. And quite frankly, as a trader, you're going to have bad weeks and you're going to have good weeks. So why the fuck does it matter how you describe it, bro? Just do your fucking thing. So that's a side note that I'm going to be applying going into the next weeks. But going into Monday, one thing I also started to do, I have now started to study a lot of the greats within the trading industry over the years to come. The first person I'm starting to study, and I have been studying, is Jim Simons. Jim Simons, for those that don't know, was the founder, and I think he was the CEO, of Renaissance Technologies. Arguably one of the most successful, if not the most successful hedge fund, majorly known for the flagship fund. I think it was like the Medallion Fund. And they fucking cooked, bro. I think it was like 1988 to 2021. They had a 66% annual return. And for me, it's not even just about like the hedge fund. And again, who knows if I ever fucking start my hedge fund, I don't care, I don't know. But for me, I looked at that and I'm like, my mental thought is, and it's always been like this for me, study the greats in whatever you want to be great in. And that's what I'm doing. I think my next person is probably going to be Steven Druckenmiller. I think that's how you say his name. Another hedge fund owner. And just see how these guys operate, bro. Like everything from like their childhood, how they were raised, how do they think about things, what's their objectives. And me just particularly from Jim Simons, is just listening to the audiobook by studying, I meant watching the audiobook by The Man Who Solved the Markets by Gregory Zuckerman. And I'm pretty much done with that. I'm like 70% done. I started on Monday. I could maybe finish it today. We'll see. And that was in hopes of as well, was to put more of a focus towards education and knowledge and just like brainwash myself into like my subconscious of like success of these guys. I think a lot of things I've been doing recently, and I think it's mainly been for these past two like rough weeks, as you can say, is I've been like fucking around on like Instagram a little bit too much, playing too much music, I feel like. And again, I don't think those are bad things. I mean, the Instagram, you could argue it's like you're just wasting time. The music, I think you can look at it as you wish. But I just put more of a focus towards more reading, more audiobooks. And that's one thing I've even, like when I woke up, my routine now is like first 30 minutes of the day, audiobook. Like straight after I wake up, just so I can start programming those thoughts, programming those success stories into my brain straight off the rip. So that's a little bit of a long-winded Monday, but as far as the trades, the bias, and one thing I'll say, last rant here, as far as the bias, how the fuck did nobody comment on my videos telling me, yo bro, Jake, can you put a screenshot of how the bias looks like before pre-market? You know, so it's not like you're just reading. Nobody said that shit, bro. All my fucking trades have just been like the trade itself. So as of that thought came to me on Wednesday. So as of Wednesday, as I'm gonna go over all the trades, is when it begins, and you can actually start seeing the bias and what I'm going off on the 1 hour time frame. And I also labeled my connotations, my confluences, so you guys know exactly what is what. But as is Monday, my bias was we were in a 4 hour bullish trend, 4 hour bullish gap holding strong. We had a decent new week opening gap below as well. Could see a fill into it happening, feeling bullish, a retrace into the 4 hour gap zone and follow through to the upside, and will likely look for entry. But would potentially consider shorts if price looks to fill the new week opening gap. Now, first trade we were bullish. This was on our evals. We had two 50-minute bullish gaps formed pre-market, 5-minute gap formed and respected, waited for another to form for further confirmation, and drove, we pretty much put 100 micros on there, risked the maximum daily loss limit on Apex accounts, so that was minus 1,000, is what it is. Gone into second trade, dumped but retraced and tagged into the 50-minute gap. We had a new 5-minute gap formed. We had a 5 and a 15-minute V-shaped recovery. Waited for a clear breaker structure to a clear uptrend. Another 5-minute gap formed. Bullish on all time frames, and I entered with 25 contracts. Now this is all my fundeds, and I think as far as that was just break evens and partials, and then TP1 was a break even. So I put here, little annoying, fill could have been at 1.8 risk to reward. So that's one of the cons I think maybe as I evolve as a trader it might alter. But I don't limit orders. I when I specifically go in for an order and I'm like, okay, I want to take a setup here, I do it via market. And I tend to find sometimes it goes in your favor in regards to like sometimes orders might fill you a little bit lower than when you intended to, so you get a better entry. Sometimes it gets you a little bit higher. Sometimes it's precisely as it is. For the time being, I think I'm going to stay with it, but again, a little bit of annoying here because I think on this trade particularly, this is the setup. If I had been entered literally just a little bit earlier, and I'm literally talking like a second year, when I execute my orders, I copy trade on Trade8 and I'm trading on TradingView. I have to switch tabs and then just click buy or sell. And that 1 second, 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds of time difference of doing that, it fucked me up here. Like genuinely, like if I had ordered my fill a little bit lower, which would have been the case, I'm gonna put up the screenshot of how that fucking trade ended up being. That's what it would have been. And what ended up happening was we hit our break even and partials target, as I always do. It was a draw of liquidity, so it could have reversed from that point. So valid, I moved my stop loss to break even. But because it was not even that long of a distance, I got fucking break even, bro. And before you fucking know it, it hit all of my TPs, TP1 and TP2. So the reflection in that is, for the time being, I'm gonna just try and execute them quicker, just as quick as I can. But if this continues to happen, bro, I probably will switch to a way of just trading just simply by limit orders, where you just set an order. If it triggers to that price point, then it executes you. But yeah, bro, that fucking sucks. I'm gonna put the screenshot again of that long trade, bro, but it is what it is. We hit our zone, literally wicked our break even, and then just hit all of our TPs. But on the third trade, we started a bearish trend. We had a breaker structure to the downside, 5-minute gap formed. We entered with 20 contracts, and then that was a specific, just a break even on that one. Post session, I just realized I should just trade fundeds and evals on the side, not wait until 10 accounts. So that was another thing as well, is going into this week, my full focus was once again just trade onto the fundeds. We're back on funded, so I also had to kind of acclimatize back to trading on funded, because I feel like for me it's just psychologically it's different from trading an eval to a funded. So going into this week, it was just trade these fundeds, and then evals are on the side. And especially as I scale, again, my vision here is 100K a month. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to scale to multiple accounts. And I'm talking probably, as far as I did the maths, on the low end, probably 35 accounts. On the high end, probably 45, 50 accounts. And I should be able to hit my 100K a month goal. And hopefully more after that. But I started to realize, like, bro, for the past 2 weeks, I've been putting such a focus towards evals. Where the goal should have been like, no, bro, keep going on your fundeds. Evals are just your side things, bro. It's like girls, bro. Or an example of a girl, it's like, bro, your evals are your side things. Your fundeds are your main things. That's where the focus should go, bro. That's where, like, and that's what it is. And I'm putting way too much of a focus and like a scarcity mindset. Like, bro, there's just way, like, bro, I can just blow these things. You know, I can just stack more accounts. Like, that's how it is, bro. And it's like, bro, I need to realize, and that's what I realized as of Monday. Just focus on the fundeds, bro. And then that was the case. So, any other reflections on Monday? Also, yeah, as a side note, I also felt, is this week? Is what it is. We'll go into Tuesday. Tuesday, this is one of the insightful things I've learned this week. And that was from Tuesday, where it was, neural knowledge is somebody I look up to in terms of like, not look up to, like what the fuck, bro? But like I extrapolate like his teachings and lessons from like on a metaphysical standpoint. And he has a book that goes like, I think it's Outsmarting Reality. Well, I know. Outsmarting Reality. And there's a Spotify overview. This is a gem, bro. This is genuinely secret sauce, bro. It's an AI overview. It's a 1 hour and 44 minutes. And if you just type in Outsmarting Reality overview, you'll see it. I'm listening to that shit on repeat. I kid you not, bro. It's like, bro, I think I've re-listened to it this week alone 3 times, bro. And it's part of that, my routine of in the morning, straight after I wake up, start listening to that. And I'm literally talking like, bro, I wake up, eyes open, 2 minutes, realize I'm awake, boom, get my fucking phone. Phone's still in airplane mode, no notifications, no anything, but put that audiobook on. And for the first 30 minutes as I'm doing my routines, as I'm waking up, I'm just hearing thoughts, I'm just hearing success, I'm just hearing how you need to put your mental state. So, I mean, I could genuinely make a whole video on like the things I've learned so far, but I've started to do that. And I recommend if you want to learn like your mindset, or you want to learn how to embody a good mindset, like how to think, how to achieve your desired reality. And again, people can look at manifestation as they want, but that shit's real, bro. You look at all the successful people who embody those attributes and put a focus towards that, they're the best at what they do for a reason, because this shit actually works. And I recommend everybody goes to that. Going into Tuesday, so our bias was uptrend continues on the 4 hour. We had a new 4 hour bullish gap formed, could see a break of structure happening, chopped through Asia and London session. We had draws of liquidity to both sides. Ideally, would like to look for longs and another bullish day, but let's see. Now, 1 hour ended up being a bit of a bearish trade. So, well, not a bit of a bearish trade. Failed to continue bullish structure on the 1 hour. We were continuing the bearish trend. Plus, we had a 4 hour candle that failed to close above the recent 4 hour high, showing a break of structure in the bullish trend. We had inversed the 50-minute gap. We formed the 5-minute gap, and then a clean past session draws of liquidity below as well as the 4 hour gap as well. So we had a lot of good draws of liquidity below, and we executed. So we entered with 30 contracts. Our stop loss got triggered genuinely by a fucking wick, bro. You can't call it, bro. It is what it is. Thoughts. I also executed them on my evals, and then my accounts got blown through that trade, but genuinely by a wick. Second trade, same setup, and this time bearish trend continued and broke past the previous relative low. Once again, entered with 30 contracts, and then break evens got hit, TP1 got hit, and then TP2 was a break even. So it was pretty unfortunate, bro, but it is what it is, bro. You know, it's like, I can sit here and complain, but it doesn't do me any good. I think as far as I know, I want to say I should have probably, well, now looking at it, I should have put my stop loss at the recent relative high. As you guys can see, it would have been only a couple more points and it would have been better for security. And if I had done that, it would have hit. So that's actually the reflection right there. Higher stop loss, once again, a reminder. And then second setup was, it was just the same setup. And yeah, the draws of liquidity that we had outlined got exactly hit, and then we just hit our break even. Now, as far as Wednesday, now we got the bias, bro. So now I can actually put the screenshot of the bias. But before that, I already put here on the first day, finished the Outsmarting reality summary. Gonna be re-listening to, and will continue to do so. Genuinely, one thing as well, I will say from learning, from all the things I've learned and how I apply learning, I don't think it's beneficial for anybody to just reread new information constantly. Because what ends up happening is when you reread new information constantly, the information you've already learned doesn't get embodied within you. Which is why where I learn, I like to just repeat things. And for me, genuinely, bro, like I think within a couple weeks, bro, I'm gonna be like a genius when it comes to this topic because of the fact that I'm re-listening to this like, bro, once every 2-3 days. It's getting re-listened to, the whole 1 hour, 44 minute summary. And it's just getting sunk into my brain. All these key attributes about metaphysical, like your mental state, all these different things. It's going to be a game changer, I'm telling you, bro. And I'm going to prove it just with my results. But going into Wednesday, now we got the bias. So we had a 4 hour and a high time frame downtrend that got formed. We broke past the previous 4 hour gap. I suspect a bearish day. We still have that new week opening gap that hasn't been filled. We do have previous session draws of liquidity above. And then we do have the Sunday 4 hour gap respected from yesterday and pre-market as well. Ideally, would look for shorts, would look to break past the 4 hour gap and look for continuation with the bearish trend. As well as that, it was the federal funds rate release and the FOMC press conference. I think it was the first time it was the first time Kevin Warsh had his speech. I ended up taking a trade on that, and I made a bit of a rookie mistake. I mean, again, it's my first federal funds rate release, and I didn't put enough emphasis on it, and I didn't put enough importance. I thought like, yeah, bro, price action is gonna be how much different can a price action be? All these different things, and I hadn't realized like, bro, I made a mistake. So I ended up trading it as it normally would. So the setup as the first trade was, we inversed the first 4 hour gap to the downside, 5 minute gap formed and inversed, another 5 minute gap formed. We broke past the second 4 hour gap plus the previous day relative low. We were continuing the downtrend on all time frames, entered, and as far as that goes, it was pretty unfortunate, bro. Like we literally wicked out our stop loss. This time again, I had an emphasis of like putting it at a higher level. I think that was like a 13 point stop loss. It was decent. I couldn't complain. But it literally triggered our stop loss, then it just dumped, bro, and it hit our break even. From that point, it did reverse up and then just chopped. But that trade stopped me out. Part of the process, wicked out, and I also did extend my stop loss there. So I learned from the previous day, so I couldn't really hate there. As far as the second trade, same setup. We inverse, and this is where I made the mistake, bro. Not realizing that, again, liquidity is going to be low. Nearly the whole of Wall Street is simply waiting on the decision if interest rates are going to be hiked or maintained or cut. And yet again, that's why liquidity wasn't at its core, and the price action just ended up chopping until 2 p.m. until the conference started and the fund rate was released, and that was the case, bro. So same setup. With this time, I thought we would inverse the first hour gap, enter with 30 contracts, and just got stopped out. Like, it is what it is, bro. But again, it's a tough lesson learned. First two trades shouldn't have been traded. Didn't think the interest rate hike or cut made a difference, but it did. Choppy market, learned the lesson on FOMC days. So it is what it is. And it wasn't just, normally on FOMC days I will trade, but it wasn't just that FOMC day. It was particularly when they were releasing the interest rates decision. So it was a massive one, bro, and I fucking overlooked it. Is what it is. And then the third trade, so this is quite an interesting one, bro. Because my rule for my fundeds, bro, is you take 2 trades and you get off the market. But for some reason, I don't know if I should be angry at myself or whatever, but I'm going to just put it up on the screen. I took a trade literally as Kevin Warsh was speaking. His conference was at 2:30. I think I executed at like 2:40. As you guys can see on like the 2 lines or that second line, that's when he began speaking. And I just took a bet, bro. I was like, bro, the way this meeting is going, and again, I don't want to get excited by this. This is not like, I don't condone this. I don't think this is a good way of going about it. That's why I only entered with 10 contracts as well. So that was another point that I had. But I just started to feel like this guy was just giving the same answers. And I just felt uncertainty in the room. I had a gut instinct. And I just decided to fucking pull the trigger. I was like, fuck it. We got to this relative high. Let's just take out all these draws of liquidity. And it was my biggest ever trade, bro. It was like a 5.7 RR trade. And again, I don't condone it. It was 10 micros. And I kept holding, bro. I was like, I'm not going to sell. I didn't have any limit orders. And it ended up even dumping further than what I did. So it was a gut instinct. I'm not going to put my hands up and say, yo, I'm a news trader. I'm an expert. I knew exactly how the room was going. Bro, genuinely, I had a little gut instinct. Confluences matched up. I took a stab at it. But again, I'm not gonna let this get to me and be like, yeah, bro, now you can always do this. Hell no. I don't want to say this is going to be the last time I'm ever doing this, because it probably might. But it is what it is. But I executed. And a post-reflection I also had, and this is one of the insightful things of one of the weeks that, out of what I've learned this week, was at least one of them, was I need to detach from time enforcing success. So this is probably, I guess it is from one of the chapters of the Outsmarting Reality book that I've been reading and trying to sink into my brain. But it is forcing success. I feel like there's two versions of myself, and I'm sure other people watching this might relate to that two versions of yourself, especially if you're young and you want success. But I feel like I'm always in two conflicting minds, bro. Number one is the version of myself that wants fast success. I want success. I want it now. I want it quick. Action, speed. You hear Tate say that, like one of his number one rules. I remember it always stuck with me. It's like the number one rule in life is speed. Do everything quick. And I completely agree. But it's just that mindset of like forcing, quick, speed. And there's a second aspect that I feel like would be more beneficial to me in the long run, and I think a lot of us need to embody. And that is like the enjoy the journey. Is, show up every single day. Enjoy the journey. Actually detach from the outcome. Let it come to you. Show up every single day doing what you need to do. Follow through on your word. Go into the market, follow your process. Whatever the outcome is, show up the next day. And instead of forcing it, and I think it's the reason I think it's so hard, at least for me, and I think this is going to be one of the biggest unlocks for me, is because you see it, bro. Like, I even see this, me living in Dubai. It's like, bro, you see the motherfuckers driving Lambos. You see the motherfuckers with the girls that you want to be with. You see the life other people live in, and you're like, I want to be that version of myself. I want that shit for myself. And what you need to realize, and I think what I need to realize, is just let it come to you, bro. It's going to come. If you're watching this and you're like the caliber version of who I am as well, I watch these types of videos, and you focus on success and you want to focus on knowledge and getting better, just realize, bro, 99% of these people out here are bums, bro. You will be successful one way or another, but it's the forcing that I think hinders a lot of us from getting there quicker. It's the importance that we put on it. It's the importance of like, bro, this is such a high level. I need to get there. I'll get so much validation. I'll get all these different things. And it's like, bro, just show up every single day focusing on what you need to do and enjoy the journey. Let it come. Detach. And I think for me, it's like I need to step away from that mindset a little bit, because I think that's maybe been something that's hindered even this journey. I think the past 2 weeks when I blew those first accounts straight after my payout, so straight after a high, blow my accounts and just for 2 weeks just stay stagnant on evals. I feel like part of it was subconsciously me like, bro, we need to get back in the game. We've got 100K a month that we need to hit. Let's get to more accounts. And in me doing that, I would make a bet. I feel like that took away the detachment out of it. I was completely attached. I was desperate, all these different things, and I needed it now. Action. And in doing so, it hindered my success from being able to get there quicker. And I think a good way you can look at it as well, or a way I look at it, is it's like focusing on, like, instead of chasing the butterflies, focus on building the fucking garden, bro. Focus on yourself. Show up every single day. make your word count. If you say you're gonna do something, fucking do it. And all of these different things. And I think if you do that, compounded over time, you're gonna get there, bro. And I feel like that's mainly one of the key points I've already learned from listening to that audiobook, that I recommend everybody does so as well, is that just be that version of yourself already. Before reality has catched up to yourself, where it's like, bro, I'm still not unprofitable. I'm at 5 accounts. Like mentally, I'm saying this from the physical world. Like, yeah, that's what I am. But mentally, I'm already at 40 accounts. I'm already a profitable trader. I'm already hitting 100K months. And I've started to really embody this as of like 2 days ago. And I will continue to do so. It's just acting like that version of myself that I want to be. And I already know this, but it's that, bro. And instead of having that mindset of like that first person of fast success, quick speed, it's just detaching from the outcome and just focusing on the inputs, bro. Being that version of yourself already and just letting it come to you, bro. And just detach from the outcome. And I think that's my biggest thing, that I sat down there for like, I probably after my session there for like an hour, I just sat there and I thought about this. And I think it's going to be, I think it's a very key, insightful thing that I think for me is going to be the biggest unlock. Because for me, I always need to do things quick, bro. I need success quick. And I think part of what's hindered me from getting there quicker is that, exactly that. And we'll see, bro. Maybe I'm completely fucking wrong, bro. But it's the results over the next weeks and months to come, I think, are going to be a byproduct of this methodology, of me thinking like this, me taking these lessons out and me applying that mindset frame. And I guess the results will speak for themselves. Let's see, bro. But that was a long rant. But I hope people enjoy that, bro. Because I was actually sick to talk about, but yeah, bro. Thursday as well. And actually, speaking of this, on Thursday I saw a clip. I was watching like the School of Hard Knocks. He was interviewing, well, James Doolin. He was interviewing billionaires. I think it was in California, and he ran into Bill Ackman, who also is a hedge fund owner. And he literally mentioned the following day is like, not rush. He said one of the biggest issues with young people nowadays from being able to make money is that people try to rush things. People and pretty much the overview I got here is not rush trying to get rich young. Long-term thinking. He said a lot of things that a huge reason a lot of young people are hindered by success is they don't have that long-term thinking mindset. And it's just like I just outlined there. And that's my biggest flaw, bro. And I'm sure if it's probably a bigger flaw for me, it might be for a lot of others. But that's a focus for me, bro. It's just having that second version of myself. But going to the bias, as I put up on the screen, bullish Asia session. We had a choppy London session. If I was to choose a bias based on the whole week trend, I say continuing bearish, but could see a breaker structure, replace the new week opening gap with the new day opening gap as a better draw of liquidity below. Seeing how price reacts to the 2 4-hour gaps that still remain also could be an indicator for me as could be an indicator. And as well as that, we had a pre-market 15-minute BPR, and I was going to stay open-minded. Now, this was kind of like a Friday, because I guess all the institutions probably wanted to get their orders out of the market because it was kind of technically the Friday. I guess so, but again, liquidity and price action was horrible, bro, as I'll outline. But mid-session, confluences were stacking up to be bearish, but mid-session, I had realized that we had a bullish 1-hour gap that price simply didn't want to break through. We had retraced it multiple times. We had a 15-minute and a 30-minute V-shaped recovery out of the 1-hour gap. We broke past the 15-minute bearish gap and inversed. We broke structure to the upside on the 1-hour. We had a 5-minute gap formed, a 15-minute gap formed. We were bullish on all time frames, and then I had entered. Now, this time I only entered with 10 contracts because I just didn't have that conviction, bro. This was at 1:15, so it was just when afternoon session starts getting a hike and liquidity, but we just didn't, bro. It was just, market wasn't, what's the best way to describe this? It just didn't follow through, bro. Like you would see your bias switch from bullish to bearish, all these different things, and in the end I just took a little stab. We nearly edged our break-even zone, which was the 4-hour gap that just was respected so much the whole week. But it is what it is, and then that ended up losing. I put here, I should have maybe wrapped up the day But what I did say here is that if I had won that trade, I would have said the same thing. I would have been like, yeah, I got my win. But obviously it's a loss. But I don't think I should blame myself too much. Like I said, I only put 10 contracts. If I put more, then I would have. But I put 10 contracts because I knew it's not the A++ that I would want. It is what it is though. And then obviously Friday, no trades, Juneteenth. I put here gay holiday, fucking closing the markets. I don't know what the holiday is. I'm not like, don't rush. I don't care what the holiday stands for. I'm just saying it's gay that the fucking markets are closed because of it. Like, fuck, bro. It's what it is. And then as far as that, Saturday, I just continued that Outsmarting reality book. Well, the audiobook, Detachment. Good with it, good without it. Genuinely just so much fucking good with it, good without it, just by Detachment. There's so much knowledge. Again, I could genuinely, and I even might, just make a whole video one day about all of the lessons I learned from this, because they're massive, bro. And like I said earlier, bro, this is literally going to be a case study in real time. You know, you're going to see somebody who's going to truly embody all of these teachings, and you're going to see in real time if it works or not, bro. Because it is also, one thing I will say, it's also contradicting to the things that I've been taught for a long time, bro. One of them being that Relentless by Tim Grover. Relentless by Tim Grover contradicts a lot of the points in that audiobook, where it's like force, you know, never being satisfied, never being content, where it contradicts it in the sense that this version, it's like, you need to act like that version of yourself that you want to be like. So if you act, then you need to feel satisfied, you need to feel content, and let reality catch up to you. So there's a lot of like mismatches, but I'm gonna test. I'm gonna use myself as a fucking guinea pig, bro. I think that's what you use in like science tests. I'm just gonna test on myself, and we're gonna see how it works out. And just another reminder as well. And I think I mentioned this on one of the prior episodes, where I talked about how when I was in sales, before I got into trading, I was in sales. One of the things I learned, I was an appointment setter. I was like 17 at the time. And the number one closer one day was a morning meeting, as we normally do every single day. It's like a morning huddle before the day truly starts. And this guy came up on the stage. He was the number one closer. I remember his name. His name was David Meng. And one of the things he said was, when somebody asked him, or when I think it was somebody asked him about like, how are you number one on the leaderboard? I think that month he was like 30K in commissions. I mean, it was like halfway through the month. Like the guy was fucking flying, bro. But he said, sales is just a self-development course with a pay stub attached to it. And what he tried to signify, and what I took away from it, and what he tries to take away from it in terms of like portrays, is that it's a course in self-development, bro. And I genuinely think trading is just another one of those, but just with higher stakes. I genuinely think it is exactly like this, and it is things that you're going to have to go through, challenges that you're going to have to overcome, things that you're going to have to master over yourself, things like fear, things like FOMO, all these lessons that I'm learning about, you know, focusing on the mental aspect, detachment, all of these different things. And I realized like that's what also brought me some success with sales. I mean, I was doing 10, 15K months. And I think part of why I got to that point was because I treated it like a self-development course. I took away from it. I took lessons out of it. And I think that's exactly how I'm applying trading. And it was just another reminder that trading, bro, no matter how good things can seem, no matter how bad things can seem, it's simply just as, you know, if I was to, I'm going to trademark this shit right now, bro. Trading is a self-development course with payouts attached to it. That's exactly what it is, bro. It's another self-development course of you mastering yourself, mastering your emotions, mastering everything within yourself. And I guarantee you the markets will just portray that result in payouts, in your profits, in how much you make, how successful you are, and all these different things. But, bro, I'm fried as fuck right now. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you had a good week. Hope you have a good week going into next week. Let me know, as always, if there's any suggestions, anything I can do better. Hopefully, like the bias things, I can start tweaking on things and make it a lot better. But aside from that, peace and love. keep crushing.